Hey everyone, it's your girl Amanda Schaefer here, and as promised, I have returned to review the second half of the new Jelly Side Up installments. Because as you know, in my previous video, which I filmed a month ago, I filmed the first half of the new Jelly Side Ups. So as I said, today I'll be reviewing the second half, starting with Victory Sprinkles. In this one, there's a competition called the Folks of the Month contest. 3 teams are competing to be, of course, Folks of the Month. Those teams being the Pooh Bears, and on that team are Patty and Bert. The Tiggers, Chad and Jeremy are teamed up. And the Donkeys, on that team, it's the return of music duo, or should I say the other music duo, Peter and Gordon. Haven't seen them since Chili Dogs. And hosting this contest is Dorothy Gale herself, Judy Garland. Now things get a little hectic during this contest, as the teams wind up spying and sabotaging each other. And let's just say they also lead to hilarious moments. And I mustn't forget, the Brer animals were posing as the mascots, where Brer Rabbit and Brer Fox were in the Tigger costume. First we saw Brer Fox with the Tigger head, and Brer Rabbit was in the Tigger bottom. It was actually kind of funny to see them wearing half and half. Now Brer Bear was supposed to wear the Pooh Bear costume, but he didn't because he's already a bear. So Bert wears it instead. Someone had to wear it, you know? Although I kind of wish they had a donkey costume for Team Donkeys. Oh well. And I'll tell you, there are a lot of moments in this installment that made me laugh hard, like when I was watching the 4th installment, Explosive Pizza. And honestly, I haven't laughed that hard since that one. Seriously, watching the installment I'm currently talking about, just so many funny moments. One included when Brer Rabbit took the one arm off the Pooh Bear costume and made Bert hit himself. Well, actually, Brer Bear was hitting Bert and making it seem like he's hitting himself. Reminds me of that one part in Tarzan. Stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself. And of course, as I said, a lot of sabotage. Cheating! That's not allowed in competitions. Heck, cheating is bad, period. So Judy declares, because everybody cheated, I have no choice but to disqualify all of you. Maybe they... Alright, let me rephrase that. Maybe the next time they do that competition, they'll have their lesson learned. After what happened here. Alright. Since I'm not in front of the computer, reading off my favorite parts, I wrote them down on a piece of paper like I did when I was reviewing the other 6 during part 3. Alright, and what did I say my favorite part of this one is? I said Patty's funny accents. Yeah, every so often she was like trying to disguise herself, more like disguise her voice, using different accents. One of which included a British accent, and Jeremy's like, why are you talking like Mary Poppins? And I'm like, what do you know? He just mentioned my mom's favorite Disney character of all time. And it's also her favorite movie of all time, Disney-wise. Alright, now on to the next installment, called Headless Horse Meat. In this one, it's Splashfest! As a matter of fact, this is the first installment that doesn't take place on Splash Mountain. This one is filmed entirely on Main Street. You can even see the Cinderella Castle every so often. That's what I love seeing most about Main Street. But it doesn't stop here. Hosting Splashfest in this was sorry about that. Was the Scarecrow himself, Ray Bulger. Well, at the end of the previous installment, Judy said that she was going to contact him, and it seemed like she did. And Patty was really excited to see Ray again, considering the fact that those two did a movie together. That being, I believe, The Daydreamer. I've never seen the whole movie, but I did see some clips. Thank you, Brer Sam, for showing me. And I liked what I saw. Okay, getting back to this installment. And speaking of Patty, apparently she and Bert are looking for the Headless Horseman. No one believed that he exists. So they put their heads together to try to get him. More on that later. We have two ladies who appear at one point, their names being Cher and Gemma, and I believe they were in this film called Where's Charlie? I watched it a while back. It was pretty good. Been a while, but I still enjoyed it. And as I said, Ray Bulger is hosting, and he's in the movie. Hosting Splashfest, that is. And yes, he was one of the stars of Where's Charlie? Anyhow, as I was saying, Cher and Gemma were nominated as Splash Queen. Maybe I should say Splash Queens, plural. First time they ever had two queens that we were told. And they wanted to dance with Chad and Jeremy, who were also going for the role of Splash King, but luckily they were working together rather than against each other. But they did have some competition. Brer Vulture. That Vulture always has a trick up his sleeve every now and then. And also, Cher and Gemma actually sang at one point. And let's just say I love the choice of song that was used. They sang Be Our Guest from Beauty and the Beast, with a few changed lyrics. And I gotta say, those rewrites were excellent. And for the point of view of the Brer animals, apparently there were supposed to be Mr. Bluebird dolls, but couldn't get them. But eventually, we did get them. And Brer Rabbit thought about tricking Brer Fox and Brer Bear. And when they realized what he did, they protested against him. Brer Rabbit has filthy habits. Kinda rhymes. But luckily, Brer Rabbit made up for it by getting pizza. Long live pizza, they said a few times. And to all you Wizard of Oz fans out there, Ray actually did wear his Scarecrow costume throughout the remainder of this installment. And getting back to this whole Headless Horseman thing, when Patty and Bert eventually see him, They filmed him on camera. Or so they thought. I say that because when they were showing the footage of the Headless Horseman, it turned out Patty accidentally pointed the camera at her and Bert instead of on the Headless Horseman. They goofed. But even though they goofed, they're still friends. And who says friendship has to end when you goof up over something small? And Patty thinks they should name Ray Splash King because he was a big help. I like the idea, especially after Ray had to disqualify Brer Vulture after all the antics that ensued. When he competed to take the crown. Anyhow. Ah, yes. I just read my favorite part of this installment, and it would be Ray's words of reassurance. And he definitely was very reassuring when Patty and Bert were feeling guilty about when they goofed, failing to film the Headless Horseman, when Patty wound up filming herself and Bert running for their lives. And I mustn't forget that dance at the end. Awesome. That should be on film. And Bert tells Patty, "Don't point the camera at us." And she swore she wouldn't. Good job, Patty. And last but not least, the recent installment called Deli in the Belly. Or is it Deli in my belly? Don't leave any hateful comments if I got this wrong. Either way, this is the recent installment. And in this, things got really intense when I watched it, I'll tell you that right now. Jeremy was having a bit of a crisis, worried about letting his fans down. Using the phone, calling them and such. But things take a turn for the worse when we find out that the phone is missing. Dun 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 dun. Like what Ed Norton does in The Honeymooners when he knows that he and Ralph are in trouble, as in Camden. Anyway, back to business. While everyone goes off to search for the phone, the others were putting together a landline. Since this was the 60s, we couldn't do cell phones, as I read the original episode this story is based on had. And Patty and Brer Fox got into a bit of a spat on what they should have done while getting those wires together. Triple, double, all that. Elsewhere, Bert and Brer Bear were going to make a totem pole. And what I heard, what kind of totem pole they were putting together, or should I say the characters that were going to be on it, I was like, ooh, this'll be a nice looking design. They were going to put Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, and Goofy standing on a bear. I tried to picture it in my head as I was reading the book, but then when I saw it on the film adaptation, I was like, wow, that was well done. Let's back ourselves up a little bit. Eventually, we find the phone was taken by Jeremy. This not only disappointed his friends. Apparently, Chad felt betrayed. And he felt that Jeremy cared more about his fan base than his friendship with him. Yeah, I've seen moments like that where something important to another person gets in the way of his or her friendship with the other. It's never good. So Jeremy tries what he can to make it up to Chad. It didn't seem like it worked at first. But then, when Bert presented the totem pole, Jeremy knocked it over with this wrecking ball. I was bummed when that happened because that totem pole was gorgeous. And I'm like, what the? Well, it turned out that Jeremy wanted to prove that his friendship with Chad was more important than a silly old telephone. Like, did he have to ruin the totem pole to prove his point? But other than that, Chad did eventually forgive Jeremy. And I mustn't forget that Brer Rabbit was trying to order something from the deli. Even after they were told time is up with the phone, Brer Rabbit wouldn't stop until he orders what he wants from the deli. Anywho. For my favorite part of this one, I wrote down reverse psychology. As in, when Brer Fox and Patty were arguing about triple and double, Brer Fox eventually pulled a reverse psychology trick on Patty. So it started off with Brer Fox saying triple and Patty was saying double. And then Brer Fox went on and said triple. No, he said double. And then Patty said triple. Why do I like this part? Well, it reminded me of a few things. One, this moment in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, when Eddie Valiant, played by Bob Hoskins, and Roger Rabbit were arguing about whether or not Roger wanted this drink that Eddie wanted him to have while he was in the clutches of the evil Judge Doom, played by Christopher Lloyd. First, Roger says he didn't want the drink, and then, eventually, Eddie reverses, saying he doesn't, and Roger says he does. And this other one was on a track in a Christmas play that I was part of years back, which was called I Need a Little Christmas Vacation. And the track was called... Well, I can't really remember the track, but I do know the dialogue actually had reverse psychology at one point. Well, the children were stuck at school for the holidays. And two students wanted to watch different things on the TV if it worked. The girls said we could put on the Nutcracker, but then this boy says, "Are you kidding? We're going to put on the ball game if the TV works." And then they started arguing back and forth about whether they should put on the Nutcracker or football. And the girl tricked the boy. So, she won. They put on the Nutcracker. Anyway, that about wraps up this review. Those installments were very well done. And I'll definitely be rewatching those and the ones I reviewed in the previous video in the future, and I look forward to seeing more in the months that follow. So in the meantime, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.